I'm Stephanie.
Hi, I'm Angela.
We are the Ink Mages. Join us as we discuss all things fantasy, world building, storycraft, myths and legends, and of course, our own imaginative stories. Hello, and welcome to season 2 of the Ink Mages podcast.
Let's go.
We are starting off season 2 with an author interview. We have author Russell J. Fellows, who's going to be joining us in the studio. He's the author of the upcoming middle grade fantasy, Children of the Ancient Heroes, Dreams and Nightmares, which is coming out this October 2024. Russell believes that stories weave magic into everyday life, especially the magic of faith, hope, love, and family in its myriad of forms. Deep in the heart of Oklahoma, Russell lives with his wife and 2 children. When he's not dreaming of new stories to tell, he loves spending time outdoors with his family, playing Everdell, or many other family games, or voice acting for audiobooks. So let's welcome Russell to the show.
Hey, welcome,
Hi.
Russell.
Hey, Russell.
You're from Oklahoma, and I just watched the movie Twisters. So now I have this vision of Oklahoma as being like the territory of like the most deathly tornadoes known to mankind.
I live in Moore, Oklahoma, which has the biggest on record and stuff. So, yeah, we're good for something.
I'm not too far from you. I live in Texas, so at least a little, underneath tornado country, just a little bit. Well,
Right.
Russell, we're so excited to have you with us. And one of our favorite questions at the Ink Mages is to find out what fantasy, sci-fi, nerdy facts you might have going on. So tell us, is there any nerdy facts that you'd love to share with the Ink Mages?
I actually struggled with this a little bit because I knew you guys asked this all the time. I was like, what's really nerdy about me? And of course, my family's all like, well, everything. So my biggest inspirations are probably a mashup of Star Wars and Lord of the Rings. Just kind of through that's where I get everything from. And of course, C.S. Lewis and Brandon Sanderson.
I love Brandon Sanderson.
But I think my biggest nerd fact or something that I'm really proud of is because I sucked my whole family into my nerd world. And so that they are all now big fans of Lord of the Rings. I think my daughter is probably a bigger Tolkien fan than anybody I have ever met in my life.
Oh, go you.
Yes, you are doing it right.
That's right. Yeah, bonus points for you.
He probably rocks at Trivial Pursuit. If you don't have Lord of the Rings Trivial Pursuit, you guys need to get that and have a family challenge. See who is the ultimate low-toward nerd.
She would clean up at any kind of Tolkien trivial, pursuit or anything like that. So I'm kind of afraid to go against her.
I love it. Yeah, those are. I feel like I've always done really good as a parent when my kids come to me with anything Lord of the Rings or Star Wars related that they love. I'm like, yes, I did it. I've imparted my wisdom to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's how I just felt. My daughter just finished the Avatar, The Last Airbender show, and I had been talking for years that they would love it, and they didn't believe me. And so finally my daughter tried it and binge watched it, and all of a sudden she was gone for the weekend and came back. She's like, I finished book 3. I'm like, what? You went through the redemption arc of Zuko without me? But I'm just happy that she loved it. So I was like, yes, see, right. I know what I'm talking about with my nerd stuff. All right. Well, Russell, tell us about your writing journey. How did it all get started for you?
My writing journey is really strange. It's had so many ups and downs and starts and stops. Always loved writing, but I've always kind of just pushed it off to the side as just like, that's not going to take care of my family. That's not going to take care of the things that need to happen. So I need to pursue these things. My wife and I thought we were going to become missionaries Uh, so we put everything on hold. I finished a degree and got my bachelor's in biblical studies, and then I went on to seminary, and I got all that taken care of. And then I was like, but I miss writing. I
Yes.
miss writing, so I picked it up again. And yeah, I mean, even this book here is probably 10 years in the making at least.
Wow.
And it all started because my kids were like, "Well, you're always writing stories. Write one for us."
Oh,
Aw.
Okay, I'll write one for you. and that's how this book was born. Yeah. So
yeah. So tell us a little bit more about this book that's coming out. Just where did it come from? Where was the inspiration?
well, the original inspiration I mentioned was I was trying to write some YA fantasy, which I have so many outlines and rough drafts for all kinds of different stories that, I mean, it's
Wow.
scary. I don't know if I'll ever be able to get to everything, but my kids were like, "Oh, come on, write us a story," and so I started. Like we had a porcelain message board. This was when my kids were real little. I mean, my daughter starts college now, so that's how long this story's been going. But we had a porcelain message board, and I would just start the story off writing on that for them every morning before I would go off to work. And so that when they woke up, because my wife homeschooled them, so when they would wake up and start their day, they would have, part of the story there. And then as the story got longer and longer, I would just send it to my wife in email forms. Yeah, so that she could read the emails to them every morning. It even started out where, I mean, my main characters were my children at first, even their whole name. I mean, like they're going on this adventure. So.
And that's their actual names? Is Tirza and Eli the main characters' names?
No, I've changed it.
Oh, okay.
They were possible names. when my wife and I were, they were possible names when my wife and I were going through the whole baby naming phases and stuff like that. Those names had come up.
Okay, they're good, solid names. So I'm glad.
I wanted to protect their anonymity or whatever like that. So
I love that. So tell us a little bit about Children of the Ancient Heroes, like the storyline, fantasy world. Give us a little bit of information about it.
Yeah. So it is a portal fantasy. Starts off in our real world. It's this family called the Nesbitt family. And Tirza is 13 years old. Eli, her brother, is 9 years old. Their family moves around a lot. And they're okay with it, kind of, but you can see it kind of takes a toll on them a little bit. And they finally settle in, of all places, in Oklahoma, which is it blows their mind. They're like, "What? What are we doing in Oklahoma?" But they're big into books, especially Tirza. She is bookworm extraordinaire, is very much like my daughter. But she has this longing for magic. It just, to her, has always seemed like a deeper rooted thing than just when normal people go, "Oh, I wish, magic was real." And like, she just has a really deep longing, like she's missing part of herself. And her father new books from the local librarian, some ancient books that were part of her family for a long time, and he showed interest, so he's going to read them. well, new ancient book, just like, I'm all in. Like, give me this book. She's like, I gotta know all about it. And then one night, the children, the Tears, Eli had a really rough day at school with bullies, and Tirza wants to cheer him up, so they sneak down to the basement to find Papa's secret stash of chocolate and read these books. That
The secret
that
stash of chocolate.
promise some. The secret stash of chocolate. Got to get it.
I've got
But,
my secret stash. It's a thing.
It is. It is. It never stays secret.
Yeah.
But they start reading this book and they accidentally read something that they think is just a poem, and it turns out, hey, it's a spell. and
Yikes.
it pulls them into a parallel universe.
Ooh.
And they are pulled into this world and find that magic is real. Monsters are real. I don't know how much I should say about it because I don't want to give too much away.
I think that's good
there's
for
a lot of things that they find out.
Awesome. I know we don't want to do spoilers.
Yeah.
Although here on the Ink Mages, we do love magical creatures. So you can at least tease if there are some magical creatures in your story. Don't say like how maybe the encounters happen, but like tell us what magical creatures or magic systems or how it works is in your book.
Right. Okay. That's good. Magical creatures. Everything you could possibly think of eventually makes its way into the book. There are dragons. Of course, gotta have dragons.
Yes.
There's a magical tiger because tigers are my absolute favorite. So I have to have a magic tiger in there.
That's
love it.
There's a shaggy brown chocolate Labrador that he makes his way in there. I think everybody's gonna really like him. Name is Chaco, of course. And those are my main animal companions in the book because they were my kids' favorite stuffed animals. My daughter had a stuffed. She still has it. She's 18 years old, still has it, but it's a stuffed, raggedy-looking brown dog named Chaco. And my son has always had this stuffed tiger named Tati. He came up with the name. I don't know. When he was like probably 1 or 2 is when he named it. Named it Tati. He was like, okay.
I love how those elements find their way into.
That's how they came about.
Okay, so what about antagonists? I know that is there an antagonist point of view at all in your story, or a villain that's causing issues for Tirza and Eva?
Oh yeah, there are so many antagonists.
Let's start with the main one.
The main one for this book is a black mountain nymph named Ravina. She comes from the Black Mountains. They're called the Door Mountains. They're an obsidian, just complete obsidian mountains.
Wow.
Really cool.
She has a problem with this queen of this one kingdom called the Crystal Kingdom. Her name is Queen Penelope, who is a river nymph. children learn that there is a certain connection between the throne of the Crystal Kingdom and the sun in our own world. And so that if there is nobody that sits on that throne, the sun in our own world will die.
Oh, interesting.
And,
Boys. So they're really intertwined, these worlds.
yes, they are. They are very linked together, and in so many different ways that I'm hoping to bring out throughout the series. Yeah, and so, but I mean, they're so intertwined that if the sun dies in our world, then all life will cease. Yeah, and so, but if all life ceases in our world, then all life also will cease in that world. And
wow.
So that's kind of just, some small stakes, for the kids.
They've got a mountainous task ahead of them.
Yes. So this is book one of a series that you're going to be continuing to write.
Yes. Yeah. Originally, I wrote this first book as it's like 110,000 words. But we're an agreement with Monarch that's kind of saw that's probably a little too long to come out at first with for middle grade. Even though I'm like, well, what about all the Rick Riordan books and all the Arlen Shaw and everybody else? And I'm like, they're all huge, long, but we decided to split this one into two. So, what my original idea was a trilogy with an extra prequel. Is I don't know how many books it will be now.
You're also a voice actor for audiobooks. And I just love for you to tell us a little bit about that. I know as an author myself that's wanting to break into the audiobook world and get my book narrated. In fact, fun fact, Russell did a sample for me, and I can't even begin to tell you how fun it was to hear my book read back to me with someone with voice actor talent. It brought some tears to my eyes. I have to say, it was very exciting for me. First steps towards that. And I know there's so many indie authors and people who'd like to have their books put into audiobooks. So tell us a little bit about being a voice actor and what that looks like, and how even that started for you.
Well, that's just crazy. I think my wife told me that I'm just having a midlife crisis. I'm just pursuing all these boyhood dreams, and she's like, I'm almost 50 years old, and now I'm pursuing all these things. And she's like, what are you doing? No, but I don't know. I like to be silly, especially with my kids, and so I can make all kinds of different voices or whatever. And other people have just always told me, they're like, well, you've got a really nice voice, we like it, blah, blah, blah. Have you ever thought about voice acting? And I'm like, no, not really. Don't have time for it. But I don't know what really made me take that first step, but I just like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm just going to go for it. And I have been learning so much that I had no clue was even a thing, and that's one thing with voice acting. Most people are like, oh, you have to have a nice voice, or, oh, you have to be able to do good character voices and everything. I'm like, actually, no, you just have to be expressive. It doesn't matter. I mean, no offense to Aquafina, love her, think she's amazing and stuff like that, but not exactly what most people would consider a pleasant voice to listen to all the time. But because she's so expressive and because she's such a good actress, she can be anything from a pigeon to a dragon to all sorts of things, And I mean, or even Ray Romano. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, Lord, I hope they never see that. Nothing against you guys if ever you see this. I think you're all amazing, truly. But it's more than just the sound of your voice.
Right.
It's more. There's more acting to it than I ever thought was originally possible. I mean, it is called voice acting for a reason, I guess. Who'd have thought? No.
I've been so impressed.
Yeah.
I've been impressed because I've been listening to your Enchanted Stories podcast where you've been
Yes.
doing an audio for The Princess and the Goblin. And I was mind boggled at how many voices you did. And the chapter where you were voicing like 3 or 4 different goblins, like goblins,
Wow.
a family of goblins. Then you had different voices for each one with different personality. I was like, this is hysterical. I don't know how he's doing it. I was like, yeah.
Well, thank you.
And I know I've got a few still to listen to, but yeah, it's been so fun. I'm so glad you started.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful thing to pursue. And I bet you have fun with it.
I do. I have a lot of fun. It's just me playing around. That's really all it is. My wife's like, do you really got to go spend time away now? I'm sorry. I still got to finish recording that book. I have been a bit of a procrastinator when it comes to The Princess and the Goblin.
Which I have to tell you, I was so excited to find out you were voicing A Princess and the Goblin for your podcast because that is one of my all-time favorite childhood books. I think I read it at least 20 times as a kid.
Yes.
And so when I was like, oh, he's voicing The Princess and the Goblin, I got pretty excited. I still haven't had a chance to listen to it, but I'm definitely going to. So I'm going to have my children listen with me because they haven't read the book yet either. So I think it'll be a really fun time.
Yeah, I had to go with George MacDonald as my first book for the podcast because, I mean, probably argumentatively, people can disagree with me, but I think he's like the absolute father of fantasy. It's just it's amazing the things that he came up with.
Yeah, I was just saying he inspired Tolkien a bit too, isn't that
right?
Yeah,
like, absolutely.
He was before Tolkien, so I know I've read some lore that Tolkien was definitely inspired by George MacDonald's writing and Princess and the Goblin for sure. Like those mining scenes, I was like, this is putting me in Moria right now.
Yeah. He's kind of clumped together with the 3, even though he was a generation before. He had such a huge, heavy hand in C.S. Lewis's life and his inspirations, and then just that whole imagineering of those guys, the Inklings. I think George MacDonald definitely gets to be included in that. And I have 4 of from the Princess and the Goblin series in collector's editions on my bookshelf right there. I'm very proud of them.
You should be.
They're like my little trophies over there.
Yes.
So I think that's awesome. What advice would you give to someone who wanted to hire you as a voice actor or like wanted to get a good reading from you? Like what's something that you want to hear from authors that makes it a good experience for you?
What makes it a good experience for me is one, that they come in with realistic expectations. Because as an author myself and before Monarch so graciously picked me up, and I was thinking I was going to have to do everything on my own, and I can be a little tight when it comes to money. It's just like, no, I don't want to spend so much on this or so much on that. Voice acting can be expensive to hire a voice actor. And I, just as a general blanket statement, that you pretty much get what you pay for.
Right. Yeah.
Now I know that there are some very talented voice actors who do the royalty share, which is a way to go. And I think if you go on ACX, that's one of the things. If you like put your book on there for so that voice actors can audition for your book. One of the things that you can put on there is for royalty share rather than the normal rate that most voice actors will charge. I'm new to the whole world of voice acting and audiobooks. I put myself down on the lower end of the rates and stuff. I know some voice actors you will be paying a very pretty penny to hire them, of course, but then you get like amazing results probably most of the time. Like I consume audiobooks like crazy.
Yeah.
As I'm working and everything, I'm constantly just listening. I probably go through at least 5 books a week just listening to them through audiobooks. But I just listened to one where David Tennant did a whole series.
Wow.
And
that'd be fun.
Amazing. I mean, he is incredible. I mean,
I'm a fan.
Yeah, we're
fans. I mean, of course, it's David Tennant. Yeah, so
well, that's really good advice. I mean, I think especially as authors, like, of course we want a deal, especially if you're an indie author and you're paying for everything yourself, you want a deal, but at the same time, you have to take into consideration the amount of time it takes for a voice actor to invest and read everything. I mean, you think the time it takes to sit down and read a book, let alone recording and getting it all, nice sounding and all of that skill. So I definitely think the value should be there for voice actors for sure.
Yeah. Or even the Princess and the Goblin that I'm doing for fun. I mean, probably each chapter that I do is probably 3 or 4 takes.
Wow.
And hours of editing just to clean it up and stuff. I have to say, though,
seamless. It's so seamless.
As I've been getting more and more into this world and learning so much, I've joined so many different classes, and I'm part of a new voice actor group led by a couple of actors and stuff, and amazing, supportive and stuff like that. But I'm learning so much that my takes are becoming better. I'm understanding more how to isolate my sound and stuff, and so that my editing time has decreased quite a lot.
Oh, that's good.
Over the last few months. Yeah. So.
Well, I feel like we always improve. We get better the more we do it. So what's next for you, Russell, with your book? Since this is book 1 in a series, when is book 2 coming?
Book 2 is actually, I believe, on the docket for next April. So there's only going to be like a 6-month, 6 months. So it's not going to be the normal year or whatever between books because I already have it written. It's just going to be the second half of it.
That's the big.
So it works. If Tolkien can split his book into 3 when he wrote it all as one, I guess I can go with this.
Yeah, we get to do it.
Yeah. That's my series you see behind me. That was all one big giant story. So split into 3 books. So, I mean, and now I've got a trilogy. So more books to love and share. So it does happen. What is some advice that you would want to share about someone who wants to write a book?
Just write. Just put fingers to your keyboard or pen to paper or something. Just write and just get it all out. And don't let the naysayers get you down. You have a story in you. I wholly and completely believe that every single person on this earth is creative in some way. And I think
I
that
agree.
we all have a story in us. So I think you just do it. Don't worry about if it's any good or anything like that. Just tell your story, and then learn the craft. Read up on the craft as much as possible. Don't let your lack of knowledge stop you from starting.
Yes.
That's good. That's a
Yep.
great way to phrase it.
Yeah. And that's definitely 100% true. Oh my gosh, this has been like such a fun time having you on the show. You guys,
Thank you.
you're so welcome. And I love just hearing about your story. I love all the stuff about voice acting. That was really helpful, like few minutes. I just want to let you know that was really great. Thank you for sharing that information. And you guys, please go be ready in October. This book is coming out. Buy it for your family. Get it ready for your kids. Get it ready for your reading list because it's coming so soon. October is just around the corner. Russell, tell us where people can go to get more information about you, whether it's related to your books, upcoming release in October, or your voice acting. Where can they go to find you?
I am on Instagram and LinkedIn. Of course, I also have Facebook. I have a Facebook, and I'm trying to be better about actually posting on there. I'm probably on Instagram more than anything. You can find pretty much everything out if you just visit those.
All right. That's so awesome. Well, you guys, thank you for joining the Ink Mages, and how exciting we're in season 2. Russell, thanks for being our first interview in our season 2. So
Thank you.
It's a great way to start our season to get to kick it off with you as one of our interviews. And thanks for listening. Please leave a like, leave a comment. Let us know what you want to hear from the Ink Mages, what your favorite book series are. We love it when you interact with us, and we can't wait to see you next time.